How to Force Yourself to Be Disciplined. Read by Scott Brick. Discipline is the bridge between who you are today and who you dream of becoming. It is the invisible force that separates those who talk about change from those who actually create it. Without discipline, even the greatest ideas remain trapped in your mind, and your goals become nothing more than wishful thinking. With discipline, the impossible slowly becomes possible, and the life you've always imagined starts to take shape before your very eyes. The truth is, most people never achieve their potential, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they lack self-control. They wait for motivation to strike, or for the perfect moment to arrive, but that moment never comes. Real growth begins the moment you stop relying on feelings and start relying on principles. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. In this audiobook, we will explore what it truly means to force yourself to be disciplined. You'll learn how to silence excuses, build unbreakable habits, and take control of your mind and actions. Together, we will walk step by step through the mental shifts, daily practices, and powerful strategies that create lasting discipline. By the time you finish, you will not only understand how to be disciplined, but you will also have the tools to reshape your entire life. This is the moment you take back control. No more waiting. No more excuses. Let's begin. Every lasting change begins with a clear decision. And the first decision you must make is this: who you refuse to be. Most people try to improve their lives by setting goals or making resolutions about who they want to become. That's good, but it's not enough. You see, it's easy to dream about being stronger, richer, healthier, or more successful. It's easy to imagine yourself disciplined, focused, and unstoppable. But what truly fuels transformation is when you draw a line in the sand and say, "I will never go back to that version of me again." Think about it. You can read every book, listen to every podcast, and write down every goal. But unless you decide who you will no longer be, you'll keep slipping back into old patterns. Right now, picture that weaker version of yourself. Be honest about the habits, the excuses, and the behaviors that have been holding you back. It might feel uncomfortable, even painful. But this clarity is power. Because when you truly hate staying the same, you'll finally have the drive to change. You can't just want discipline. You have to want it more than you want the comfort of staying who you are today. Here's the truth. Your future isn't built on motivation. It's built on identity. Every action you take is a vote for the person you believe yourself to be. If you see yourself as someone who's undisciplined, you'll act accordingly. But if you shift your identity, if you start to see yourself as a disciplined person, your behavior will naturally follow. This isn't just about habits. It's about becoming someone new. Start simple. Write down 2 things. First, a clear description of the person you want to become. Second, and equally important, a clear description of the person you refuse to be. Be specific. Maybe you refuse to be someone who wastes hours scrolling on their phone. Maybe you refuse to be someone who skips workouts or makes excuses for not chasing their dreams. Whatever it is, define it clearly and keep it front and center in your mind. When the temptation comes, and it will, this definition will be your armor. Every time you feel like quitting, remind yourself, that's who I used to be. I'm not that person anymore. This is where true discipline begins, not with a perfect plan, not with endless motivation, but with a fierce commitment to leave the old you behind. And that journey begins today with a single powerful decision about who you refuse to be. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is, I'll start when I'm ready. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for the perfect plan. They wait until they feel motivated, confident, or fully prepared. But here's the truth. That perfect moment you're waiting for doesn't exist. It never has. And it never will. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Think back to any major change you've ever made. Did you truly feel ready? Probably not. Maybe you were nervous. Maybe you were unsure. Maybe you were even scared. But you still took the step. And because you did, you grew. Readiness is not a starting point. It's a result. You don't wait to be ready before you act. You act. And that action creates readiness. The disciplined life begins with a decision, not a feeling. And this is where most people get stuck. They think they need motivation first. They think they need confidence first. But confidence comes from doing, not from thinking. Motivation grows when you start moving, not when you sit and plan endlessly. The most powerful thing you can do for yourself is to take action before you feel like it, before you have it all figured out. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a cold swimming pool. You dip your toe in. It feels uncomfortable. So you pull back. You pace around, telling yourself you'll jump when you feel ready. But here's the thing. You will never feel ready. The only way to overcome that discomfort is to leap in. Yes, the water will be cold at first. Yes, it will shock your system. But within moments, you'll adapt. And once you've taken that leap, you'll wonder why you wasted so much time, hesitating. That's exactly how discipline works. Too many people sit on the sidelines of their own lives. They're constantly preparing, but never starting. They read about fitness instead of actually working out. They research business ideas endlessly, but never launch. They plan their perfect morning routine, but never wake up early to try it. This endless preparation feels safe, but it's really just disguised fear. You're not supposed to be perfect at the beginning. You're supposed to learn as you go. Every master was once a beginner who decided to start before they were ready. Here's a secret. Even the most successful disciplined people you admire don't always feel ready. They have doubts. They have fears. The difference is, they don't let those feelings control their actions. They act first. And the feelings catch up later. Think of a rocket ship. The most energy is used during liftoff. Once it's in motion, once it's in orbit, it takes far less effort to keep going. Your habits work the same way. Starting is the hardest part. Once you've pushed past that initial resistance, momentum takes over. That's why your job isn't to have everything figured out. It's simply to take that first uncomfortable step. You can make this easier by lowering the barrier to entry. Don't set out to run 5 miles on your first day. Just put on your shoes and walk around the block. Don't try to overhaul your entire diet at once. Just replace one unhealthy snack with a healthier option. The smaller the first step, the easier it is to take. And once you've taken it, you'll naturally want to take the next. Committing before you're ready is an act of courage. It's a declaration to yourself and to the world that you will not let fear dictate your future. You might stumble, you might make mistakes, but mistakes are proof you're moving forward. Inaction, on the other hand, guarantees you'll stay stuck exactly where you are. When you feel hesitation creeping in, remind yourself of this. The pain of starting is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. 5 years from now, you'll either be grateful you started today, or you'll wish you had. Which feeling do you want to live with? Which feeling do you want to live with? Every time you push past the urge to wait, you build a stronger, braver version of yourself. So stop telling yourself you'll begin tomorrow, next week, or when life feels easier. That's just another excuse. The only time you have is now. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait to be perfect. Don't wait for someone to give you permission. Take that leap today, even if it's messy, even if it's messy, even if it's scary. You'll discover that readiness was inside you all along, waiting for you to take the first bold step. If you want to become truly disciplined, you need structure, not complicated systems or endless to-do lists, but a simple set of unbreakable daily rules, your personal code. These rules are the foundation of your self-discipline. They are the habits and actions you commit to, no matter what mood you're in, no matter how tired you feel, no matter what's happening around you. They are non-negotiable. Most people live by feelings. If they feel like working out, they go to the gym. If they feel inspired, they work on their goals. If they feel tired or unmotivated, they quit. That's why their lives never change. Because emotion in a high-pressure moment can lead to disaster. Your life works the same way. Without rules, you're constantly guessing, constantly reacting, constantly fighting with yourself. With rules, you know exactly what to do. There's no debate, no drama, just action. Your non-negotiables don't have to be complicated. In fact, they shouldn't be. Start small. Choose 3 to 5 actions that, if done consistently, will move your life forward. These could include things like waking up at the same time every day, exercising for at least 30 minutes, reading for 15 minutes, or spending 10 minutes planning your day before it begins. The key is consistency, not complexity. Here's the secret. These rules are not about the size of the action. They're about the identity they create. When you follow through, even on small commitments, you're casting votes for the person you want to become. If you want to be disciplined, you must act like someone who is disciplined, even in the smallest ways. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your belief that you are that kind of person. But here's where many people fail. They create rules that are too ambitious at the start. They tell themselves they'll wake up at 5 a.m., run 5 miles, meditate for an hour, and work on their side business before breakfast. Then, when they inevitably miss a day, they feel like failures and give up completely. Don't make this mistake. Build your rules gradually. It's better to have one small habit you stick to daily than 10 big ones you abandon after a week. Once you've chosen your rules, write them down. Don't just keep them in your head. Seeing them on paper or on a screen makes them real. Treat them like a contract with yourself. And here's the crucial part. Do not negotiate with them. If you decide you will exercise for 20 minutes a day, it's not up for discussion. You don't ask yourself, do I feel like it today? You just do it. Even on the hard days, especially on the hard days, there will be moments when your mind tries to talk you out of it. You'll hear thoughts like, it's okay to skip today, you can do it tomorrow, or one time won't hurt. That's the voice of your old self, the one you're trying to leave behind. When that voice appears, remind yourself why these rules exist. They are not about today's comfort. They are about tomorrow's freedom. Over time, something incredible happens. These actions that once felt difficult become automatic. They become part of who you are. Just like brushing your teeth, you won't even think about them anymore. And that's when real discipline takes root. When doing the right thing becomes effortless, because it's simply what you do. Imagine the power of starting every single day, knowing you've already done the most important things for yourself. No more guilt. No more wasted time. Just quiet confidence. Built one consistent choice at a time. That's the gift of non-negotiable rules. They create a structure you can trust, even when life gets messy. So take time today to decide what your rules will be. Keep them simple, clear, and meaningful. And once you commit, follow them without question. Because in the end, discipline isn't built through random bursts of effort. It's built through small, repeated actions that you refuse to break. Your personal code for a stronger, better you. Discipline doesn't only come from willpower. It also comes from the environment you create for yourself. If you're constantly surrounded by temptations, distractions, and reminders of bad habits, even the strongest willpower will eventually crumble. You might be able to resist once or twice, but over time, those triggers will wear you down. That's why true discipline isn't just about what you do. It's about what you remove. Think about it like this. If someone is trying to quit smoking, but keeps a pack of cigarettes in their drawer, just in case they're setting themselves up to fail, sooner or later, on a stressful day, they'll reach for it. Whatever your goal is, you must eliminate the things that make failure easy and success hard. They think they're in control, but really, they're reacting to cues all around them. That phone buzzing on your desk, that junk food in your kitchen, that negative friend who always pulls you back into bad habits. These are triggers, and every trigger has the power to pull you off course. The good news is, once you identify them, you can destroy them. And suddenly, discipline becomes much easier. Start by paying attention to your patterns. When do you tend to slip up? Is it late at night when you're tired and scrolling on your phone? Is it when you go out with certain people who encourage your worst behaviors? Is it when you sit down to work and see 100 notifications fighting for your attention? These moments are not random. They are clues pointing to your triggers. Once you've identified them, take action. If junk food is your weakness, don't buy it in the first place. If certain environments lead you to bad decisions, stop going there. And yes, if certain relationships consistently drag you down, you may need to create distance or even walk away. This might feel extreme at first. You might tell yourself, I should be strong enough to handle it. But here's the truth. Strength isn't about constantly fighting battles you don't need to fight. Strength is about setting yourself up to win. If you don't want to fall into a hole, don't walk near the edge. By removing the triggers, you reduce the number of decisions you have to make each day. And that frees up your energy to focus on what really matters. Here's a simple example. Imagine trying to eat healthy while keeping a plate of cookies on your counter. Every time you walk by, you have to decide whether to take one. Even if you resist 9 times out of 10, that 10th time will get you. Now imagine those cookies aren't even in the house. There's no decision to make, no inner battle to fight. It's simply not an option. That's the power of removing triggers. You win by default. Your environment should reflect the person you want to become, not the person you're trying to leave behind. Surround yourself with reminders of your goals, not your temptations. If you want to exercise, lay out your workout clothes the night before. These are positive triggers, small visual cues that push you toward the behavior you want. It's also important to set boundaries with people. Some people, even those who care about you, may unconsciously encourage your old habits. They might say things like, "Come on, just skip today," or "You've been working so hard, you deserve a break." While they might mean well, those words can weaken your resolve. Be clear about your goals and what you need from them. If they can't support you, be willing to limit your time with them until you're stronger. Remember this, discipline is not just about self-control in the moment. It's about designing a life where the path of least resistance leads you to success. When you destroy the triggers that break you and replace them with triggers that build you up, you make discipline almost automatic. So take a hard look at your surroundings, your routines, and your relationships. Be honest about what's holding you back. Then take bold action to clear the obstacles. If you want lasting discipline, you can't rely on motivation or random bursts of willpower. Those things are like the weather. They change constantly. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. Other days you won't even want to get out of bed. That's why you need something stronger, something that doesn't depend on how you feel at the moment. You need routines. A good routine is like a fortress. It protects you from the chaos of life. It gives you structure, clarity, and stability. When you have strong routines, you don't have to wake up each day wondering what to do or when to do it. You already know. There's a rhythm to your life, a flow that keeps you moving forward, no matter what's happening around you. Think about your mornings for a second. How you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. If you wake up late, rush around and start scrolling through your phone before you even get out of bed, you've already handed control over to the world. You're reacting instead of creating. But if you have a powerful morning routine, one that energizes you, focuses you, and sets clear intentions, you walk into the day with strength and direction. Your morning routine doesn't need to be complicated or hours long. It just needs to be intentional. Maybe it's as simple as waking up at the same time every day, drinking a glass of water, doing a few minutes of movement or exercise, and reviewing your top priorities for the day. These small actions signal to your mind and body, we're in control. We're focused. We're ready. Evening routines matter just as much. How you end your day affects how well you sleep, and how well you sleep affects your ability to stay disciplined the next day. If you spend your evenings mindlessly watching TV or scrolling on your phone until you pass out, you'll wake up drained and unfocused. But if you have a calming evening routine, maybe reading a book, reflecting on your day, and preparing for tomorrow, you'll wake up with clarity and energy. It's like putting your discipline on autopilot. Here's the key. Build your routines around your most important habits, the ones that move your life forward the most. Don't overload yourself with 100 tasks. Focus on a few core actions that, when done consistently, will create massive results over time. For example, your morning routine might include journaling, exercise, and reviewing your goals. Your evening routine might include reflection, planning, and disconnecting from screens. It's also important to make your routines realistic. Don't create a schedule you can't stick to. If your morning routine takes 3 hours, but you only have 1 hour before work, you'll just end up frustrated. Start small. Build gradually. The goal is to create something sustainable, a structure that fits your life and grows with you. It's to have a home base to return to a strong routine. A strong routine acts like a reset button. No matter how chaotic things get, you can always come back to your structure and regain your footing. Over time, your routines will become part of your identity. They won't feel forced or difficult. They'll simply be what you do. And when that happens, discipline becomes almost effortless. You won't need to constantly push yourself because your environment and habits will naturally pull you in the right direction. Think of routines as invisible scaffolding holding up the life you're building. Without them, everything wobbles and eventually collapses. With them, you have stability, strength, and freedom. Yes, freedom. Because the more structure you create, the less mental clutter you carry. You're no longer wasting energy on decisions or fighting the chaos of an unplanned life. So take some time to design your routines. Start with your mornings and evenings, then expand to other areas like work or fitness. Make them simple, make them intentional, and most importantly, stick to them until they become second nature. Because once you've built a fortress of routines, you'll have a foundation of discipline that can weather any storm. Every lasting change begins with a clear decision. And the first decision you must make is this: who you refuse to be. Most people try to improve their lives by setting goals or making resolutions about who they want to become. That's good, but it's not enough. You see, it's easy to dream about being stronger, richer, healthier, or more successful. It's easy to imagine yourself disciplined, focused, and unstoppable. But what truly fuels transformation is when you draw a line in the sand and say, "I will never go back to that version of me again." Think about it. You can read every book, listen to every podcast, and write down every goal. But unless you decide who you will no longer be, you'll keep slipping back into old patterns. Right now, picture that weaker version of yourself. Be honest about the habits, the excuses, and the behaviors that have been holding you back. It might feel uncomfortable, even painful. But this clarity is power. Because when you truly hate staying the same, you'll finally have the drive to change. You can't just want discipline. You have to want it more than you want the comfort of staying who you are today. Here's the truth. Your future isn't built on motivation. It's built on identity. Every action you take is a vote for the person you believe yourself to be. If you see yourself as someone who's undisciplined, you'll act accordingly. But if you shift your identity, if you start to see yourself as a disciplined person, your behavior will naturally follow. This isn't just about habits. It's about becoming someone new. Start simple. Write down 2 things. First, a clear description of the person you want to become. Second, and equally important, a clear description of the person you refuse to be. Be specific. Maybe you refuse to be someone who wastes hours scrolling on their phone. Maybe you refuse to be someone who skips workouts or makes excuses for not chasing their dreams. Whatever it is, define it clearly and keep it front and center in your mind. When the temptation comes, and it will, this definition will be your armor. Every time you feel like quitting, remind yourself, that's who I used to be. I'm not that person anymore. This is where true discipline begins, not with a perfect plan, not with endless motivation, but with a fierce commitment to leave the old you behind. And that journey begins today with a single powerful decision about who you refuse to be. If you want to become truly disciplined, you must make peace with discomfort. In fact, you must do more than make peace with it. You must seek it out, embrace it, and even learn to value it. Because here's the truth. Growth never happens in comfort. Comfort feels good, but it keeps you exactly where you are. Discomfort, on the other hand, is the doorway to every breakthrough you've ever wanted. Most people spend their entire lives running from discomfort. They avoid hard conversations, skip difficult workouts, delay challenging tasks, and choose easy pleasures over meaningful progress. And every time they do, they get weaker. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. It's like a muscle that's never used. Over time, it shrinks. Their capacity to handle life's challenges gets smaller and smaller until even small setbacks feel overwhelming. But here's the powerful thing. You can reverse this. You can build inner strength the same way you build physical strength, by deliberately putting yourself in situations that challenge you. Every time you face discomfort and push through it, you expand your capacity. You grow tougher, calmer, and more resilient. And eventually, the very things that once terrified you will feel like nothing more than warm-ups. Think about working out. If you lift the same light weight over and over, your muscles won't grow. But when you increase the weight, when you feel the burn and keep going anyway, that's when real growth happens. Life works the exact same way. The weight you lift is discomfort, challenges, setbacks, and hard choices. These are your resistance training for the mind. Here's why this matters for discipline. When you train yourself to be comfortable, being uncomfortable, you stop quitting so easily. You stop avoiding the hard work. Suddenly, waking up early doesn't feel like torture. Having a tough conversation doesn't feel impossible. Sticking to your commitments, even when you don't feel like it, becomes second nature. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done. Not because it's easy, but because you've built the strength to handle it. The best way to do this is to start small and deliberate. Don't wait for life to throw challenges at you. Create them. Choose something slightly uncomfortable and practice staying with it. It could be taking a cold shower, going for a run when you don't feel like it, or speaking up in a meeting when you'd rather stay quiet. These small acts may seem insignificant, but each one is a rep for your mental toughness. Over time, raise the difficulty. Seek out challenges that stretch you just beyond your current limits. This isn't about punishing yourself or chasing pain for no reason. It's about training your mind to stop panicking when things get hard. The more you expose yourself to discomfort, the calmer and more focused you become under pressure. When you're comfortable, it's easy to get lost in distractions and false priorities. But when you push yourself into hard situations, you see what really matters. For example, when you have that honest conversation you've been avoiding, you create deeper connections and self-respect. Avoiding discomfort doesn't just keep you weak, it keeps you blind. You never get to see the full depth of your potential. You never discover how capable you truly are. The key is to reframe how you think about discomfort. Most people see it as a signal to stop. This feels hard, so I must be doing something wrong. But you must see it as a signal to keep going. This feels hard, so I must be growing. That shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of dreading discomfort, you start to see it as proof that you're on the right path. Of course, there will be moments when you want to quit. Your mind will scream at you to run back to safety. In those moments, remind yourself that every great thing in your life was born from discomfort. Think about it. Learning new skills, building meaningful relationships, achieving major goals. None of it was easy, and that's why it's worth it. Discipline isn't built when life is smooth and easy. It's built in the fire of challenge, in the moments when you want to give up, but choose to keep going. Every time you push through discomfort, you're building a version of yourself who can handle anything. So don't run from discomfort. Run toward it. Seek out the small daily challenges that stretch you. Step into the situations that make you nervous. Say yes to the things that scare you, just enough to make you grow. Because on the other side of that discomfort is the disciplined, unshakable person you're destined to become. Every action you take begins with a single thought. Before you quit. Before you hit snooze. Before you give in to a bad habit. There's always a tiny moment in your mind where a decision is made. And here's the thing most people don't realize. If you can control that moment, you can control your life. Your mind is like the command center for everything you do. If you let it run wild, filled with negative thoughts, doubts, and distractions, your actions will follow that chaos. But if you learn to take charge of your thinking, if you train your mind to focus on what matters, your behavior will naturally align with your goals. That's why mastering discipline always begins inside your head. The problem is, most people treat their thoughts like random guests at a party. Anyone and anything is welcome. But here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the gatekeeper, and it's your responsibility to decide which thoughts get to stay and which ones must leave. Start by paying attention to your inner dialogue. Notice what you tell yourself throughout the day. When you face a challenge, do you think, "I can't do this"? Or do you think, "This is hard, but I'll figure it out"? When you slip up, do you say, "I'm a failure," or "I made a mistake, but I can get back on track"? These small, quiet thoughts shape your behavior more than you realize. Negative self-talk weakens you before you even begin. Positive, empowering thoughts give you the strength to act. Here's a simple but powerful practice. When a negative thought enters your mind, don't argue with it. Replace it. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "I'll never stay consistent," immediately replace it with, "I am learning to become consistent every day." You're not trying to lie to yourself. You're training your brain to focus on possibility instead of defeat. Over time, these replacement thoughts will become your natural default. That means when you consistently visualize yourself acting with discipline, waking up early, working hard, sticking to your goals, your mind begins to see those actions as normal and expected. Athletes have used this technique for decades to prepare for high-pressure moments. You can use it too to prepare for the challenges of everyday life. But controlling your thoughts isn't just about what you think. It's also about what you allow into your mind. What you consume matters. The shows you watch, the music you listen to, the people you spend time with, the accounts you follow online, all of these feed your mind. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, drama, and distractions, don't be surprised when your thoughts feel scattered and undisciplined. Be intentional about your mental diet. Read books that inspire you. Listen to podcasts that challenge and educate you. Spend time with people who lift you higher. Just like you wouldn't fuel your body with junk food and expect to be healthy, you can't fuel your mind with garbage and expect to be disciplined. Another key to mastering your thoughts is learning to pause. Too many people act on impulse. They feel angry, so they lash out. They feel tired, so they skip their commitments. They feel bored, so they waste hours on distractions. But here's the truth. Feelings are temporary. If you can pause for even a few seconds before acting, you give yourself the power to choose a better response. The next time you feel the urge to quit or give in, stop and breathe. Count to 5. Ask yourself, does this action align with the person I want to become? That small moment of awareness can completely change the outcome. Remember, your thoughts are not facts. They are suggestions. You don't have to obey every thought that crosses your mind. Discipline is the art of choosing which thoughts to believe and which to ignore. It's about becoming the leader of your own mind instead of a servant to random impulses. When you learn to control your thoughts, everything else becomes easier. You stop sabotaging yourself with negative self-talk. You stop letting distractions pull you off course. You start taking actions that are consistent with your highest values and goals. Master your mind, and you master your life. It won't happen overnight. But every time you catch a negative thought and replace it, every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose focus over chaos, you're building inner strength. Over time, this mental discipline will become second nature. Your actions are a reflection of your thoughts. So if you want to change what you do, start by changing what you think. Because when you control your thoughts, you control your destiny. Excuses are the silent killers of dreams. They sound harmless at first, even reasonable. But over time, they slowly poison your potential. Every time you tell yourself a story about why you can't do something, you build another wall between you and the life you want. And here's the dangerous part. Most excuses don't even sound like excuses. They sound like logic, like truth. That's why they're so powerful. Think about how many times you've said or thought things like, "I'm too busy," "I'm too tired," "I'll start tomorrow," or "it's just not the right time." These phrases feel safe, even comforting, because they take the pressure off. If the problem is your schedule, or your energy level, or the timing, then it's not really your fault, right? But deep down you know the truth. These are just excuses dressed up as reasons. You must be willing to look at yourself and admit when you're hiding behind a story. It's uncomfortable. It stings. But it's also freeing. Because once you stop lying to yourself, you take back your power. You can't control the past or the world around you. But you can control your choices right now. And as long as you're blaming something or someone else, you'll never take that control. You want to get healthier, but you say, "I don't have time to work out." You want to save money, but you say, "I don't make enough." You want to chase your dream, but you say, "I'm not ready yet." The truth is, it's rarely about time, money, or readiness. It's about priorities. When something truly matters, you find a way. When it doesn't, you find an excuse. Here's a simple test to see if an excuse is holding you back. Switch it from a statement to a question. Instead of saying, "I don't have time," ask, "How can I make time?" Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," ask, "How can I afford it?" This small shift forces your brain to look for solutions instead of dead ends. Suddenly, you go from feeling powerless to feeling resourceful. Another way to destroy excuses is to shrink the task until there's no room to argue with yourself. If you keep saying, "I don't have time to work out for an hour," commit to 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. If you say, "I don't have time to write a book," commit to writing 1 paragraph a day. They'll say things like, "Don't work so hard, just relax," or "It's impossible to succeed in this economy," or "People like us don't get opportunities like that." These aren't facts, they're projections. If you accept them, they become your reality. Breaking the cycle of excuses isn't about being perfect. You will still have moments when the urge to make excuses is strong. The difference is, you'll catch yourself. You'll notice the pattern before it takes over. And when you do, you can stop, take a breath, and choose a different response. One powerful technique is to create a personal mantra that calls you out on your own nonsense. Something short and sharp like, "No excuses, only actions." Say it to yourself whenever you catch an excuse creeping in. It interrupts the pattern and reminds you of who you've committed to becoming. Here's the reality. You can have excuses, or you can have results, but you can't have both. Every time you choose an excuse, you give up a piece of your future. Every time you choose action, even a small one, you take that piece back. Over days, weeks, and months, these choices add up. They shape your destiny. So the next time you hear yourself saying, "I can't," pause and challenge it. Replace it with, "I won't, because I'm choosing something else." That simple change puts the responsibility back where it belongs on you, and that's not a burden. It's a gift. Because when you take full responsibility, you also claim full power. Your life will change the moment you stop letting excuses run the show. You'll stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the author of your story. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's also the only path to freedom. Break the cycle today and watch what happens when you stop letting lies hold you back. One of the biggest reasons people give up on discipline is because they expect perfection. They set a goal, create a plan, and promise themselves they'll never miss a day, never slip up, never make a mistake. And for a little while, they stick to it. But then, life happens. They get sick. They get busy. They get tired. They miss one workout, one writing session, one early morning wake-up. And suddenly they feel like they've failed completely. Sound familiar? This is where so many people fall into the all-or-nothing trap. They think, well, I messed up, so I might as well quit. What they don't realize is that discipline has nothing to do with being perfect. It has everything to do with being consistent. Progress is built on thousands of imperfect attempts, not one flawless streak. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall over and over again. They wobble. They stumble. They cry. But no one looks at a baby who falls and says, well, I guess walking isn't for you. No, we expect them to fall. We know that falling is part of learning. Yet as adults, we forget this truth. We treat every mistake as a reason to stop, instead of as a natural step forward. Here's what you need to understand. Discipline isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up fast. The quicker you recover, the stronger you become. That's why tracking progress is so important. When you track your actions, you see the bigger picture. You start to realize that one bad day doesn't erase weeks of good effort. You stop obsessing over perfection and start focusing on patterns. Tracking doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as checking a box on a calendar or writing down 3 wins at the end of the day. The point is to create visible proof of your consistency. Our brains love seeing progress. Even a small mark on a calendar triggers a sense of accomplishment and keeps your motivation alive. For example, let's say your goal is to exercise every day. You miss one day because of a hectic schedule. If you don't track your progress, it's easy to feel like you've ruined everything. But when you look at your calendar and see that you've worked out 9 of the last 10 days, you realize you're doing great overall. That perspective gives you the strength to keep going instead of giving up. Another powerful benefit of tracking is that it exposes patterns you might not notice otherwise. Maybe you always skip your routine on weekends. Maybe your productivity dips on days when you stay up too late. These insights allow you to make smarter decisions. You can adjust your habits instead of blindly repeating the same mistakes. But here's the key when you track. Focus on effort, not just outcomes. Too many people only measure results. The number on the scale, the amount of money saved, the big goal achieved. While those things matter, they're often outside of your direct control. What you can control is your actions. Did you show up today? Did you follow through on your commitments? That's what builds discipline. Progress often feels invisible in the beginning. You won't always see immediate results. You might feel like you're working hard and getting nowhere. That's when tracking becomes a lifeline. It reminds you that growth is happening beneath the surface, even if you can't see it yet. It gives you tangible proof that you're moving forward, one small step at a time. And here's something you must remember. Your journey is yours alone. Don't compare your progress to someone else's highlight reel. Maybe they've been at it for years while you're just starting out. Maybe they have different resources, different circumstances, different goals. Comparison is a trap that steals your joy and destroys your focus. The only person you need to compete with is the person you were yesterday. When you slip up, and you will, don't punish yourself. Don't spiral into guilt or shame. Simply note what happened, learn from it, and move on. The most disciplined people in the world aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail, adjust, and keep going without losing momentum. So stop chasing perfection. It's a mirage that will leave you frustrated and stuck. Instead, chase progress. Show up every day, do your best, and track your efforts. Over weeks and months, those small actions will compound into massive change. At the end of the day, discipline isn't about flawless execution. It's about persistence. It's about proving to yourself, again and again, that you're willing to keep moving forward, no matter what. And when you can see your progress laid out in front of you, messy, imperfect, but real, you'll realize you've been winning all along. No matter how strong you are, there will come a day when your willpower feels like it's running on empty. There will be a moment when you're tired, unmotivated, and dangerously close to slipping back into old habits. This is where most people fall apart. They rely only on themselves, and when their strength wavers, they quit. But disciplined people know a powerful secret. Accountability multiplies your resolve. Accountability is like having a safety net. It's an external force that catches you when your internal motivation fails. When you know someone else is watching, supporting, or even challenging you, you naturally raise your standards. When you tell no one if you procrastinate on a project, no one calls you out. But when you share your intentions with someone you trust, everything changes. There's a subtle but powerful pressure to follow through. And that pressure can keep you moving even on your hardest days. Accountability comes in many forms. It could be a workout partner who texts you every morning to make sure you're up and ready. It could be a mentor who checks in on your progress weekly. It could even be a public commitment, like posting updates on social media or announcing your goals to a group. The method doesn't matter as much as the principle. You're no longer walking the path alone. When you seeing someone else push through their challenges makes you want to push harder through yours. This isn't about jealousy or comparison. It's about inspiration. When you're part of a group where everyone is leveling up, you either rise with them or get left behind. But here's an important warning. Choose your accountability partners wisely. The wrong person can do more harm than good. You need someone who genuinely wants to see you grow, not someone who will enable your excuses or secretly hope you fail. Look for people who will challenge you with honesty and support you with compassion. Sometimes that person is a friend, sometimes it's a coach, and sometimes it's someone you meet in a community dedicated to growth. If you can't find someone right away, start by holding yourself accountable in a visible way. Write your goals where you'll see them every day, on a mirror, a whiteboard, or even a sticky note on your computer. Track your progress publicly, even if no one else is watching. The key is to create a sense of visibility that makes quitting harder. Another powerful tool is to build consequences into your accountability system. For example, you might tell a friend, "If I don't complete this task by Friday, I'll donate 50 to a cause I don't believe in." Suddenly, the cost of inaction becomes very real. Our brains are wired to avoid pain, and a clear consequence adds extra motivation to keep going. When you become the one holding others accountable, you naturally strengthen your own discipline. Over time, it creates a ripple effect. You start showing up, not just for yourself, but for everyone who's counting on you. Your actions inspire others to be more disciplined, and their actions inspire even more people. What started as a private goal becomes a shared movement. The truth is, self-discipline can feel lonely at times. It's you versus your habits, your distractions, your fears. But when you bring others into the journey, everything changes. You gain strength, perspective, and resilience you wouldn't have on your own. So ask yourself, who can you invite into your process? Who will you allow to see both your victories and your struggles? Don't wait for accountability to find you. Seek it out. Create it. Because when you harness the power of accountability, you give yourself an unfair advantage. You create a system where success becomes not just possible, but inevitable. And when those moments come, the moments when you want to quit, you'll remember that someone out there believes in you, is watching you, and is ready to push you forward. That thought alone can be the spark that keeps your fire burning, long after your willpower has run dry. Willpower is one of the most misunderstood forces in personal growth. People think it's something you either have or you don't. Like some are born naturally disciplined, while others are doomed to struggle forever. But the truth is, willpower isn't fixed. It's not a permanent trait. It's a skill, a muscle. And, like any muscle, it can grow stronger with use or weaker if you neglect it. You'd start small, building strength gradually. The same is true for willpower. If you try to overhaul your entire life overnight, wake up early, change your diet, start a business, exercise daily, meditate, and read for an hour, you're setting yourself up to fail. Your willpower will burn out because you're trying to lift too much at once. The key is to train your willpower step by step. Start with one small habit, something challenging but manageable. Maybe it's making your bed every morning. Maybe it's resisting dessert after dinner. Maybe it's reading 5 pages of a book before bed. These actions might seem trivial, but they're like the first push-ups for your mind. Each time you follow through, you strengthen your self-control. Consistency matters more than intensity. Doing a small act of discipline every single day builds far more power than occasional bursts of massive effort. Think of it like compounding interest. Each small act adds to the next, creating exponential growth over time. Before you know it, what once felt impossible becomes automatic. But here's the catch. Just like physical muscles, willpower can get fatigued. If you rely on it constantly without recovery, it will eventually fail. This is why some people are strong all day, but crumble at night. Their mental energy is simply depleted. The solution isn't to shame yourself for being weak. It's to manage your willpower wisely. You do this by reducing unnecessary decisions. Every choice you make uses a bit of mental energy. That's why routines are so powerful. When you automate parts of your day, what time you wake up, what you eat for breakfast, when you work out, you conserve willpower for the decisions that really matter. This is why so many successful people wear similar clothes or follow strict schedules. They're not boring, they're strategic. Another way to protect your willpower is by removing temptations. Imagine you're trying to eat healthier, but you keep a box of cookies on the counter. Every time you walk by, you have to use willpower to resist. Eventually, you'll give in. But if those cookies aren't in the house to begin with, you don't need willpower at all. You win by default. Willpower also grows through deliberate challenges. Just like a muscle gets stronger when you push it, your self-control strengthens when you intentionally stretch it. This could mean taking a cold shower, fasting for a few hours, or committing to a daily practice, even when it's inconvenient. These aren't punishments. They're training exercises for your mind. The more you expose yourself to discomfort, the less fear it holds over you. You stop seeing challenges as threats and start seeing them as opportunities to grow. Over time, you build a deep inner confidence. If I can handle this, I can handle anything. One of the most powerful ways to train willpower is through visualization. Picture yourself in a moment of temptation. standing in front of the alarm clock at 5 a.m., staring at your phone when you should be working, facing the urge to quit halfway through a workout. Now visualize yourself choosing discipline instead. Finally, remember that willpower is not about punishment or deprivation. It's about freedom. When you strengthen your self-control, you gain the ability to act according to your values instead of your impulses. You stop being a prisoner to cravings, distractions, and bad habits. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're doing more than completing a task. You're training your willpower muscle. You're building a foundation for everything you want to achieve. It won't always be glamorous or exciting. Sometimes it will feel slow and frustrating. But just like lifting weights, the progress adds up quietly beneath the surface, until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. So start today. Pick one small act of discipline and commit to it. Guard your mental energy. Create supportive environments, and gradually increase the challenges you face. With time and consistency, your willpower will become a powerful force, a strength you can rely on, no matter what obstacles stand in your way. And when that happens, discipline won't feel like a fight. It will feel like freedom. No matter how disciplined you become, there will be moments when you slip. It's not a possibility. It's a guarantee. You will miss a workout. You will sleep through your alarm. You will eat the thing you promised yourself you wouldn't. You will procrastinate, get distracted, or simply have a bad day. And that's okay. What matters is not whether you fall, but how quickly you get back up. Most people don't fail because they slip once. They fail because they stay down after the slip. They let one mistake spiral into a pattern of mistakes. They think, well, I already messed up today, so I might as well give up completely. It's the all-or-nothing trap. One missed workout turns into a week off. One bad meal turns into a month of poor eating. One day of procrastination turns into weeks of inaction. This isn't about discipline. It's about mindset. Here's the truth. A single slip doesn't erase your progress. It only becomes dangerous when you allow guilt and shame to take over. Those emotions don't motivate you to do better. They drain your energy and convince you that you're a failure. And when you believe you're a failure, you act like one. The key to lasting discipline is learning to interrupt this cycle immediately. When you slip, pause. Don't run from it. Don't beat yourself up. Simply acknowledge what happened. Be honest with yourself. But do it without judgment. Say to yourself, I made a mistake. That's okay. Now I'm going to fix it. This simple act of self-compassion is powerful. It breaks the chain of negative self-talk and opens the door to action. The faster you reset, the stronger your discipline becomes. Imagine a professional athlete. When they make a mistake during a game, they don't freeze and replay it in their mind over and over. They move on quickly because they know the next play is already happening. Life works the same way. Your next opportunity is always right in front of you, but you'll miss it if you're stuck dwelling on the last one. One practical way to reset quickly is to have a recovery ritual. This is a simple, predetermined action that signals to your brain, we're back on track now. For example, if you overeat at lunch, go for a short walk instead of sitting in guilt. If you skip your morning routine, take 5 minutes to journal or meditate later in the day. If you procrastinate on a project, spend just 2 minutes doing something, anything, to create momentum again. These small actions break the emotional weight of failure and help you regain control. It's also important to understand your triggers. When you slip, ask yourself what led up to it. Were you tired, stressed, distracted? Often, there's a pattern. Maybe you tend to make poor decisions late at night. Maybe certain environments make it harder to stay disciplined. By identifying these patterns, you can adjust your habits and reduce the chances of future slips. But here's a crucial reminder. Don't aim for zero mistakes. That mindset will make you rigid and fearful. Instead, aim to shorten your recovery time. Think of it like a rubber band. A beginner stretches it, and it takes days or weeks to snap back. But a disciplined person snaps back in hours, sometimes minutes. That's the real difference between someone who succeeds and someone who doesn't. Not perfection, but speed of recovery. Another common trap is overcompensation. After a slip, some people try to punish themselves by going to extremes, doubling their workout, cutting their calories too low, working all night to make up for lost time. This only leads to burnout and resentment. Instead, return to your normal plan, calmly and steadily. Discipline is about balance, not self-punishment. Remember, every slip is a chance to practice resilience. When you recover quickly, you prove to yourself that failure is temporary. You train your mind to see challenges as part of the process, rather than proof that you can't succeed. This creates a deep inner confidence. You stop fearing mistakes because you know you can handle them. Think about it like this. A slip is just a single page in the story of your life. Don't tear out the whole book because of one bad page. Keep writing. Keep turning the pages. Over time, those individual slips will barely matter compared to the story of persistence and growth you're building. So the next time you stumble, and you will, don't waste energy on shame or regret. Pause, breathe, and reset immediately. Take one small action to get back on track. Then keep moving forward, because discipline isn't about never falling. It's about rising faster and stronger every time you do. Most people think discipline is about sheer willpower, pushing yourself to do hard things through force alone. And while willpower matters, it's not sustainable on its own. No one, not even the most disciplined person in the world, has the energy to fight temptation and distraction every single moment of every single day. That's why the smartest approach isn't to rely only on willpower. It's to design your life so that discipline becomes the natural, easy choice. Think of it like swimming with the current instead of against it. If everything around you supports your goals, you won't have to constantly battle yourself to stay on track. The right environment makes good habits effortless and bad habits inconvenient. Suddenly, staying disciplined isn't about being strong all the time. It's about creating a world where your success happens almost automatically. Start by looking at your physical environment. What does your home, your workspace, or your daily surroundings look like? Do they encourage focus and growth, or do they trigger distractions and old habits? If you want to eat healthier, clear your kitchen of junk food and stock it with foods that fuel your body. If you want to be more productive, set up a dedicated workspace that's clean, organized, and free of unnecessary clutter. Small changes in your space can have a huge impact on your behavior. Your digital environment matters just as much. Phones, tablets, and computers are powerful tools, but they can also be discipline killers. If you're constantly bombarded by notifications, social media, and endless entertainment, it's nearly impossible to stay focused. Take control of your technology. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Move distracting apps off your home screen, or delete them completely. Replace them with apps that support your goals. Maybe a reading app, a habit tracker, or a meditation tool. Your devices should work for you, not against you. But when you plan ahead, even if it's just writing down 3 top priorities the night before, you give yourself structure. That structure reduces decision fatigue and keeps you moving with purpose. Equally important is the company you keep. The people around you are like mirrors, reflecting your own behaviors and beliefs back at you. If you spend time with people who lack discipline, who make excuses, and who settle for mediocrity, their habits will rub off on you. But if you surround yourself with people who are ambitious, focused, and committed to growth, you'll naturally rise to their level. Sometimes, this means making difficult choices about relationships. It doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out of your life, but you do need to set boundaries. Protect your energy. Seek out mentors, communities, or friends who inspire you. Find people who challenge you to be better, simply by the way they live their own lives. Another part of designing a life that supports discipline is aligning your actions with your values. When you're clear on why you're doing something, it's much easier to stay consistent. Take time to reflect on what truly matters to you. Maybe it's health, freedom, family, creativity, or service. Whatever it is, let those values guide your decisions. When your daily habits connect to a bigger purpose, they stop feeling like chores and start feeling like expressions of who you are. One practical strategy is to create friction for bad habits and ease for good ones. For example, if you want to watch less TV, unplug it after every use, so turning it back on takes effort. If you want to work out more, lay out your gym clothes the night before, so exercising becomes the path of least resistance. These small tweaks make a surprising difference because they remove the need for constant willpower battles. It's also helpful to create rituals and cues that signal to your brain, it's time to act. Light a specific candle before writing. Play a certain playlist before working out. Drink a cup of tea before beginning your evening reflection. These little triggers help you slip into disciplined behaviors automatically, almost like muscle memory. The ultimate goal is to make discipline feel less like a fight and more like a natural rhythm. Imagine waking up in a home that's free of clutter, surrounded by people who lift you up, with a clear plan for the day and tools that support your focus. In that environment, staying disciplined doesn't feel like pushing a boulder uphill. It feels like riding a wave you've carefully built yourself. Remember, you don't have to overhaul your entire life at once. Start small. Make one change to your space, one tweak to your schedule, one adjustment to your relationships. Over time, these small shifts will create a powerful foundation. And as that foundation grows, you'll find that discipline stops being something you chase. It becomes something you live. When you design a life that makes discipline easy, you no longer have to fight yourself every step of the way. Your environment, your routines, and your relationships will carry you forward. And that's when discipline transforms from a daily struggle into a way of being natural, effortless, and deeply rewarding. The highest level of discipline isn't just about what you achieve for yourself. It's about who you become in the process and how your example impacts the people around you. When you live with true discipline, you don't even need to talk about it. Your actions speak louder than any words ever could. People notice, they feel it. And in ways you may not even realize, you become a silent force of inspiration. Think about the people who've inspired you the most. It probably wasn't because they gave long speeches or told you what to do. It was because of the way they lived. Maybe it was a teacher who always showed up prepared and passionate. Maybe it was a parent who worked tirelessly to provide for their family. Maybe it was a friend who stayed consistent with their goals, no matter what challenges came their way. Their discipline left a mark on you, not because they demanded respect, but because they earned it through their example. When you commit to being disciplined, you have the chance to become that person for someone else. You may not even know who's watching. It could be a child, a coworker, a friend, or even a stranger who notices how you carry yourself. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're not just shaping your own life, you're showing others what's possible. This is why your actions matter so deeply. If you say you want to be disciplined, but your habits tell a different story, people will notice the gap. Words can be ignored, but actions are undeniable. When you consistently show up, follow through, and stay committed, you send a powerful message. This is what's possible when you take ownership of your life. Becoming an example doesn't mean being perfect. In fact, perfection can make you unrelatable. What truly inspires people is seeing someone who struggles, who stumbles, but who keeps getting back up. When others witness your resilience, they realize they can do it too. Your discipline becomes proof that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary results through consistent effort. This responsibility can feel heavy at times. You might think, I'm not ready to lead anyone. I'm still figuring things out myself. But leadership doesn't require you to have everything figured out. It simply requires you to keep moving forward, to keep showing up, and to keep holding yourself to a higher standard. The very act of striving sets an example. One powerful way to embody discipline is to live your values openly. Let people see you make choices that align with your principles. If health is important to you, let them see you prioritize exercise and nutrition. If growth is important, let them see you read, learn, and challenge yourself. If kindness is important, let them see you treat others with respect, even when it's difficult. When your actions consistently match your values, you become a living blueprint for others to follow. Over time, something beautiful happens. The people around you begin to change. They start making better choices, not because you told them to, but because you showed them to, but because you showed them what's possible. Maybe your kids adopt better habits. Maybe your friends start chasing their own goals. Maybe a coworker silently decides to improve their life after seeing your dedication. This ripple effect can spread further than you'll ever know. But here's the most important part. You must stay humble. Discipline isn't about showing off or proving you're better than anyone else. It's about serving as a quiet light in a world full of noise and distraction. The moment you start acting superior, you lose the very power that made your example inspiring in the first place. Lead with humility. Inspire through action, not arrogance. When you focus on becoming an example, your discipline takes on a deeper purpose. It's no longer just about personal goals, like building wealth, losing weight, or reaching milestones. It becomes about legacy, the lasting impact you leave on the people you touch. Long after your specific achievements are forgotten, the way you lived will remain. So as you continue your journey, remember this. Someone out there is watching you. Someone is looking for proof that discipline is worth it. That change is possible. That dreams can come true. Be that proof. Live in a way that makes them believe. When you become the example, discipline stops being a chore. It becomes a gift, not just for you, but for everyone whose life you quietly influence. And that's how one disciplined person can change the world. Not through loud declarations, but through steady, powerful action that speaks for itself. Discipline is not just a skill. It's a way of life. We've talked about building routines, mastering your thoughts, breaking free from excuses, and creating an environment that supports your success. You've learned how to reset quickly after setbacks, delay gratification for greater rewards, and strengthen your willpower like a muscle. These aren't just tips or tricks. They're timeless principles that can transform the way you live. But here's the thing. Knowing these principles isn't enough. Information doesn't create change. Action does. Your life will only improve when you put what you've learned into practice, day after day, choice after choice. The journey won't always be easy. There will be moments when you feel tired, tempted, or discouraged. That's normal. Discipline isn't about never struggling. It's about showing up anyway, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Remember, every decision you make is a vote for the person you want to become. Each time, you choose action over procrastination, focus over distraction, growth over comfort. You're casting a vote for your future self. Those votes add up. Over time, they reshape your identity and your destiny. And here's the most beautiful part. When you live with discipline, you don't just change your own life. You inspire others to change theirs. Your example becomes a silent force that ripples outward, touching people you may never even meet. That is the true power. So as you close this audiobook, I want you to make a promise to yourself. No more waiting for the right time. No more letting excuses dictate your choices. No more living small because of fear or hesitation. This is your moment to take control. Start today. Start small if you must. But start. Take one action. Make one decision. Build one habit. Then do it again tomorrow. And the day after that, step by step, you'll build unstoppable momentum. Your future is not some distant dream. It's built in the present, in the choices you make right now. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Cross that bridge, and you'll discover a version of yourself you never knew existed. Stronger, braver, and more capable than you ever imagined. No one can walk this path for you, but you don't have to walk it alone. The tools are in your hands. The principles are in your mind. The power is already within you. It's time to live a life of intention, strength, and freedom. It's time to force yourself to be disciplined, not as a burden, but as a gift to yourself and to the world. Your best life is waiting. Go claim it.